What I always tell my team is whether you're on the way up or you're on the way down, you really to have an attitude where you're putting your arms up and enjoying the ride. I've been an entrepreneur for more than 35 years now. And one of the analogies that many people use about running a startup or being a founder is the roller coaster. You see the ups and downs and the wins and the losses of being an entrepreneur. And I also view running a business and being a founder of a startup much the same, right? There's the highs and their lows. But there are three things that I'd like to point out about that. First, you're recognizing that it is a roller coaster, that there are going to be those highs and lows, certainly important, but really how you come to those points. You expect that there's going to be them. And what I always tell my team is whether you're on the way up or you're on the way down, you really to have an attitude where you're putting your arms up and enjoying the ride. Right. So you can be going along great and it's fine to celebrate the wins. But what happens when you get that first big, oh, shoot event, where you have to really worry about perhaps even the survival of your business, right? And if you go into those with, just a panic type of mindset, it really clouds your thinking, right? I mean, one choice is to go into your bedroom and turn off the light and curl up in a ball and not come out for 3 days, right? That would be one approach, and I'm sure many have taken that. But my approach is to recognize that this is an event, and hey, here we go again, right? Arms up, down we go. Let's enjoy the ups and the downs, and how are we going to get past the other side? A phrase I like as that's part of that is that if you think about, well, one door closes, another door opens. In this particular case, what you need to do is take a step back, recognize that it's part of the journey, and understand, well, how do we see the positives in this situation? What are the opportunities of where we find ourselves now? And to give you one specific example, I had one of those down points in Softeq's life, and there was more than one, okay? But one of those down points was I got noticed that I was notified by one of our largest, or the largest customer I had at the time. And by largest, I mean they were 85% of my business, okay? So pretty much the whole thing. And they said, well, we're going to wind down the team. And of course, it wasn't anything to do with our performance. It wasn't anything to do with the relationship. It was a business decision that they made on their side, on the direction of their company. And it's certainly not anything that I can control. We had worked with them for somewhere around 8 to 10 years and had built a team up for them of over 100 people. And certainly a scary moment, right? I won't deny that, but that's part of the putting your hands up and feeling the fear as you're like in free fall. But taking a step back and understanding that, well, what do I have? I could shut the business down. Sure, that's one option. What are the other options? Well, I've got a team of people that are suddenly available. I saw that as an asset. I can go and approach, if I find the right client for that team, I can tell them, look, I can put a team of people on your project nearly instantly with an expertise that perhaps you're looking for, right? And my competitors wouldn't be able to do that. It takes a while to scale a team. They're busy doing other things, right? So I saw my job of trying to find who those other potential clients could be that could use our particular services and would appreciate the fact that we had the expertise and we could do it very quickly. And it took about 6 months, but by the time that contract ended, I not only had people working, but I had every single person working, and I was hiring as fast as I could. And that's a very different scenario from what it seemed like when we were going down. And at that point, it's put your hands up, here we go. And I had 3 clients, right, that needed that expertise, and I signed, I think, 2 out of those 3. The second point of that is just understanding that those opportunities or potential company-killing events or things to work around can happen. And so you build things into your contract, understanding that there's a risk there. What if this client did end their contract? Uh, um, does the contract say they can tell me on a 1 week notice, on a 30-day notice, how much time do I have, or how much time can I give myself? And you negotiate that into the contract, because that's something as an entrepreneur and a founder that I was thinking about and contemplating and worrying about might happen at some point in the future. Right. And if you understand those risks and you can put that into your contract, if you can give yourself 6 months to work through that problem, that's a much different timeline, and you can transition through that down point and get on to the next challenge of building your business. And speaking of contract negotiation, what that looks like is understanding like what your needs are in order to be successful in that engagement, and what you can get the client to agree with and understand maybe why you need it. For example, early on that same engagement, when I was looking at scaling a team outside of the US for them, they asked me what I needed, and I realized that I needed $500,000 to do it, okay, to do what they were asking. At the time, my financial advisor was a fractional CFO, basically weighing the opportunity of, well, here I have an opportunity to build, a 20, 25-man team in an international location. First of all, I'd never done that before, but I'm always up for that. Do I tell them that I need $500,000 in order to make this happen? Or do I just take and risk losing the deal? Or do I tell them what I really need so that if I do get the deal, I can actually be successful? I think at the time, my fractional CFO said, don't worry about the $500,000. Just get the contract, a couple $1,000,000 contract, and just get that in the door, and don't risk it. And at that point in time, I did not take his advice. And one of the challenges of being a founder is you're going to get a lot of advice. Everyone has an opinion. They're going to tell you what they think you should do. And you're going to be looking at them like experts. Your lawyer, your accountant, your CFO, your friend, your mother, your father is going to tell you what you should do. And your job as a founder is to sift through all of that and decide, well, what you think you should do, what's actionable. They have opinions. Your lawyer is there to consult with you and tell you what the potential risks are. But every idea and every red line he makes in a contract is not something you need to go and argue with your client about. You need to understand why he thinks that's a risk, and then you assess how risky that might be, and then you decide whether you want to negotiate that, because every give and take in a contract really needs to be worth it, right? And especially with a large client, right? You want to make sure you're arguing the very important points. So in that case, I went back to the client and said, look, I need $500,000. I explained to them why I felt that I needed that money. They had a need, right, to scale that team, and they got the money, and I was able to build the business, and away we went. So make sure you ask for what you need, but more importantly, make sure you're filtering all of that advice, and you're the one that has to make the final decision. It can be difficult. It doesn't always go the way you think it's going to go. There can be, essentially arguments or differences of opinion, and what's important is really looking at it from a relationship standpoint. You're going to have a long-term relationship with your client that's going to last much further than whatever it says on the paper. It's certainly important to make sure you have those points negotiated, but a couple things happen, right? First of all, I've always felt like if they're reaching in the drawer for your contract, you're already in the ditch, right? If they're pulling it out and reading the legal language, there are bigger problems. And so you really want to leverage and build a relationship with your client. Understand that that's really the main thing that counts. If everything that you can work out in a give and take or a conversation is going to be much more important than whatever the paper says. I think lawyers and even founders think sometimes they can legalese their way out of potential risks and problems about what it says in the document. But frankly, my goal has always been as a founder to stay out of court, right? You don't want your client pulling that contract out. You don't want to have to get the lawyers involved. And, I'm proud to say that I've never been pulled into court. Over 35 years of my entrepreneurial journey, I've never had to go there. And everything that you can work out without having the legal guys talk to each other is really going to be a win for you. And just think about the long game, right? Because once you do start burning those bridges over some disagreement with the client, if you are trying to go down the legal route with court, that just burns an opportunity forever. I can't tell you how many times I've had a client come back to me that I had a disagreement with that became a customer again a couple years later. I mean, if you're not just burning the bridges of your relationship, you're opening the door to have those potential conversations, even if maybe you feel like you were mistreated in one way or another. You certainly have to stand up for yourself when you need to and not be bullied around by some of these big companies. But in the end, focus on the relationship. So, entrepreneurship is a journey. You're going to have those highs, you're going to have those lows. And the challenge really is if you can put yourself in that mindset of, first of all, expecting that. Second of all, understanding that, enjoying the ride is important on the ups and downs, but also on those downs, appreciating that there is opportunity in adversity and seeing those opportunities and how you can seize those moments. Number two is really about contracting and trying to give yourself more time, a more event horizon, so you can deal with that adversity and solve the problem and build in language that you can capitalize on and give yourself a runway to solve the problem, right? Take the opportunities and succeed. And number three is really about relationships. If someone has to take the contract out of the drawer, it's already much too late. It's a very impersonal document. You get the lawyers involved. Focus on the relationship. We're all people. That's something that every one of us can leverage. And the journey is long, and the relationships also should be long. And this is what's going to help you succeed. So my hope is that one of these three hard lessons learned can help you on your entrepreneurial journey. And let me know what you think in the comments.